purpose of a coil is to create a rope of clay that you can use to build up the sides of your project. Please write this on your worksheet now. So I've got my wedge piece of clay here and we're going to make some coils out of it. First we need to pinch off a small piece of this wedged clay. And when you're not working with this main part of the clay, it needs to go underneath a wet rag so it doesn't dry out. Got that over there. Okay. Now this piece of clay is maybe about half the size of my palm. This is the size that I'd like to work with. Don't work with anything much bigger than this because it's just going to be more difficult when you get to rolling out the coil. So we've got our piece of wedged clay. It's already been wedged, so we don't need to worry about that. And we're going to pinch it into a cylinder shape. This is going to get us going for rolling it out. If you get it nice and even on this step, your next steps are going to be a whole lot easier. So we've got our cylinder shape of clay. Any little dry pieces, you're going to want to constantly be getting those out of the way. Now I'm going to use both hands to roll out this coil until it's about as thick as my index finger, which is this finger right here. I'm not pushing very hard because I want this process to go slowly. If I go too fast, I'm going to get an uneven coil. And that's not what I want. I want a nice even coil, same thickness all the way throughout. And my coils don't need to all be the same length, but they do need to be the same thickness. So it doesn't matter how long they are, but it does matter how thick they are. Notice that I'm using my hands together in one motion. If I use them pulling opposite ways, what's going to happen is the coil is going to start to twist like this, and it's going to get a little bit thinner right there as well. If you've got a part that's too thin, just break off that part and just keep the part that has the thickness that you want. Don't try and fix that skinnier part. Just break off the part that is incorrect and you can just work that into your next coil. So once those coils have been rolled out, what I'm going to do is put them underneath the damp rag. I would recommend making a bunch of coils at once to all be ready for your coil building. I'm going to make another coil here just to review those steps. This one will work a little bit faster. Even though I did that fast, I didn't push down very hard at any one point. There's my nice even coil. It's about the thickness of my index finger, this one right here. I'm going to set that aside underneath my damp rag. As I make this one, I'm going to show you what not to do. See a lot of students that make the cylinder pretty well, but then as they roll, they're pushing too hard and their coil starts to flatten out like that. And they think, oh, I'll just roll it up like this. But the problem with that is that you're creating an air pocket within there. So even if you keep rolling, even if you feel like you've kind of saved it, inside you might still have some air. Let's see if I can show you a little bit better. So if I roll that together, first off, it's not going to go well, and you can see that I'm trapping air into the coil like that. And you can see how it's folded into kind of a U shape. So if you flatten, this is kind of an extreme example, but if you flatten out the coil and then try and roll it together, it's going to form that U and there's going to be air in there. So I'll need to re-wedge this in order to make a air-free coil.